This is the first video in my natural beauty series. This series is going to focus on how to maintain and really showcase what you've got and how to take care of yourself, really. Because I really find that no matter what type of makeup you have or what color you dye your hair or what hairstyle you create, nothing looks better than when you take care of your skin, hair, and nails and really know what works best for your features and what you were born with. So this is my first video in the series and I'm really excited. A lot of people have been asking me how I do my eyebrows and how I maintain them and shape them and just everything to do with my eyebrows. Now this probably has happened to a lot of girls. You feel like you've done the shape perfectly either with thread or with tweezers, or maybe someone else did your eyebrows and then you realize that they really are a little too thin. So, you know, no one wants to have misshapen eyebrows. So what I do when I feel like my eyebrows are too thin, and this is my first tip, is to use castor oil on my eyebrows to grow them back in. This is Jamaican black castor oil from Tropic Isle Living. Okay, and I use this in this little bottle and I just rub some on my eyebrows like that every night, not during the day because no one wants to look like that, you know. So at night when it doesn't matter, just spread some castor oil on your eyebrows. This can also work for eyelashes as well, but right now we're focusing on eyebrows. So I've been doing that for about a month now. Not every day, maybe like 3 times a week. You know, you forget, whatever. I haven't been a Nazi about it or whatever, but I've been doing it every time I've remembered, and I have not groomed my eyebrows in over a month. Okay, so why did I grow out my eyebrows? Not only because I felt like they were a little bit sparse in some areas, but also because sometimes when you do too much to your eyebrows and you're constantly filling them in and reshaping them and trying to get a certain arch, you might actually forget what your eyebrow shape is. Now I'm just going to go down the list of the different face shapes, okay? So, and I'm looking at my computer as I'm doing this. So, the first face shape we're going to talk about is oval. An oval face shape has a tendency to look longer rather than wider. So you've seen people like this. You just have a longer face. And the jawline is curved more so than actually angular, and the cheekbones are softer. They're not really so pronounced. Someone I can think of like that is like Sarah Jessica Parker. With that type of face shape, you want to have longer brows, because since you're so long facially rather than wide, anyway, since you're so much longer rather than you are wide, then you want to have longer brows to kind of balance out the length with proportion. On top of that, you really don't want to have too strong of an arch. So kind of like long. For heart shape faces, this type of face has a lot of width in the forehead and then kind of like gets slimmer as you go down and has kind of like a pointed chin. So there's width here, the forehead and cheekbone area, and it gets pointier at the bottom. And with that face shape, someone with that face shape would be like Scarlett Johansson. Good example right there. With that face shape, you want to have short, thick brows. If the brows are too wide, it's going to just accentuate how wide your forehead is. So you really don't want to do that when you have a heart-shaped face. Okay, so the next face shape is a circle. And with that face shape, you kind of can already picture it. Someone like someone like Christina Ricci. So she has a very circular face. Yeah, you have soft curved chin, full cheeks, and a wide forehead, and it just stays kind of wide all the way around. And with that shape, you want to have a strong brow, and you want to have an arch, a very strong arch, because since you don't have many angles on your face, you kind of want to play up your brow arch and kind of accentuate those angles. And lastly, there's a square shape face. Let me scoot back. I have a square shape face. The width of my forehead, cheeks, and jawline are kind of like all equal, and I have like a very angular jawline, okay? Forehead, and even my hairline kind of forms like a square right here, okay? And with this face shape, I've noticed that, and what it says on this site is that you look best with a very gently arched brow, maybe almost a little bit rounded, because of the fact that I have so many angles on my face. Now, I don't have as many as some people. Like, my cheekbones are not super pronounced. I mean, they kind of are, but it's not like bam, like a Naomi Campbell or anything. But an example of a square shaped face would be someone like Angelina Jolie. So once you've got your face shape down and you know what brow shape fits your face, then you'll probably find that your eyebrows naturally grow into that shape anyway. So for instance, for me with a square shaped face, I kind of already have a naturally soft rounded brow, as you can see right here, after I've grown them out for a month. I think it's good to know how to do your own eyebrows. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that now. Once you've let your eyebrows grow out a little bit, you want to make sure there's nothing in them and brush them with a brush that looks something like this. Okay, it looks like a mascara wand. Everyone has one of these, I hope. If you have any brush set, it comes with these. And right now I'm just brushing my brows back, just to look at how long they are and what needs to be cut and stuff like that. Looks crazy. Okay, back into position. So I have my mirror with me and my tweezers. These are, ooh, I don't even have any information on these tweezers, but I think they're by Revlon. I like them because of the flat top they have. It's not like a pointed tip. It's more of a flat tip. And it's angled, so it's better for you to really get more than one hair and really get in there and get the hairs you want plucked. Okay, so the first step is obviously you don't want any hairs in the middle. Nobody wants a unibrow. Don't get too close to the edges of your brows right here, because I'm going to talk about how to determine how close or far apart your eyebrows should be. So just make sure you just stay in the middle for now. You should actually use a magnifying mirror. This one is by Conair and it has two sides. And one of them is a normal magnification, the other one's like ×5. So you can really see all of the hairs and not miss anything. Now the second step is to see how far apart or close you want your eyebrows. So obviously you can't make them any closer, really, but to clean them and make sure that they're not too close together, you want to make sure that you think about how close your eyes are. Now if your eyes are super close together, you want to have a larger gap in between your brows. And someone had said that Victoria Beckham has super close eyes, so her brows start very far apart to distract from how close her eyes are. So to accentuate, to distract from how close your eyes are, you want to make your eyebrows further apart. Now I don't really feel like my eyes are too close together, and I like my eyebrows to start a little bit past where my eyes start. So my eyes right here, right? Brow starts a little bit past that. Okay, I always liked it like that. So this one kind of grows in like that anyway. So I just leave it like that. This one, does as well, although the front part of this brow is a little bit sparse and these hairs tend to like stick up right here. So I'm just gonna leave that how it is. I'm not gonna pluck that because I don't want to take away from the front of my brows on either end. So okay, got that part done. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty. I'm going to zoom in. So with this brow, you can see that the shape is more or less a circular one with a slight arch towards the end right here. I like my arch to be right here. I don't like it here or close to my brow or close to where my eye lines up. I like it at the end of my eye. Just go little by little. It's always smartest to start with the hairs that are the most unruly and the most out of line and kind of work your way in to avoid over plucking. Okay, I've cleaned up a little right here. Now, another thing that's going to make your brows look extra good is if you get this line right in the front. And right now you can see mine looks a little bit shaggy. To do this, you can either fill them in or you can pluck the hairs that are out of line. So what I'm going to do is pluck because I like to minimize filling them in as much as possible. So right here you can see that I'm kind of creating a line like this, but there's hairs that are in the way. So I'm gonna pluck those. And it only takes a few. So starting at the bottom, just find which ones are a little bit out of place and pluck them. Do not try to, don't start with hairs that are closer to the middle of your brow. Start with the outer edge. See, now I've formed a clean line under my brow. Looks a lot different than the other one and a lot more defined. And I'm not done yet, but this is just the beginning steps in cleaning your brows. So forming this line is key. So I'm going to keep on cleaning it up. Now right here where my arch is starting to form, right here towards this part of my brow, you want to make sure that's a clean line up as well. I pretty much finished cleaning my right brow. And the key to really not making it too thin is to kind of take a step back and look at the big picture with your whole face and how the brow looks. I'm looking in the mirror right now at my whole face. You don't just want to focus in on the brow only because then you might take too much hair thinking that you're shaping it well. In reality, you're really thinning it way too much and it's not going to match your face and it's not going to match your natural brow shape. And honestly, I barely plucked any hairs, but just the stray ones was all it took to make it look a lot neater. Another tip I learned from one of my really good friends that I used to live with was that you really don't want to take hair off the top of your brow. There's no need for that. Unless you're like a woolly mammoth and your brows go in like this, there's really no need to take hair off the top. She was like the only friend that I ever trusted to do my brows, and she always did a great job, and she never touched the top, and it taught me not to do that either. So again, unless you have hairs all the way out here, all the way up here, really leave them alone. Okay, so I have cleaned both my eyebrows, and I'm sure you guys have heard this before, your eyebrows are sisters, not twins, so they're not going to be exactly the same no matter what you do, really. This one looks a little bit fuller than this one, and that's because this one has very long hairs that need to be cut. This one does too, but I'm going to focus on this one because this is going to kind of thin it out a little bit and make it not so dark. once you brush up your brows with this brush, and I'm only going to do this to the front, you want to use some scissors, and I'm using my shears that I use for my hair, and you want to cut the hairs that are just a little too long. Now this brow also doesn't look so dark anymore because there aren't so many overlapping hairs, and I like to have the front brushed up, so looks good to me. Other side. I don't want to cut as much on this brow off because this one looks a little bit lighter than the other one, and I want to maintain some of that thickness on this one. So the last step here is to fill them in a little bit. Different people use different things to fill in their brows. Some people use powders, some people use eyebrow waxes, some people use eyebrow gels, mascaras. It really just depends on what works for you. I like to use a little bit of a pencil and then a brow mascara. This is the one I usually use. It's my CoverGirl Gray Khaki pencil. And you want to make sure not to use a color that's too reddish or too dark or just doesn't fit your brows. And this is really just to fill in the sparse areas. Okay, the brows are filled in, and now I like to just go over it with CoverGirl Professional Remarkable Waterproof Mascara, and this is in black brown. Okay, and I don't really love the wand for this, but the color is what I'm really after, so I just got to be careful to make sure not to put too much color on my brows. You really want to make sure that you are coating your brow hairs and not the skin underneath your brows. And brush it out a little bit with the same brow brush you've been using. Now, I wouldn't suggest plucking your eyebrows every day. I mean, yes, some hairs are going to grow out of place and whatever, but if you pluck every day, you're 9 out of 10 times going to end up over plucking because of the fact that, you know, when you get in there to pluck, you start finding hairs that are out of place that really aren't out of place. So, yeah, I would suggest doing it every 3, 4, maybe even 5 days. Just give your brows a break. But yeah, this is the finished product. This is how I do my brows. And yeah, anyone who asked, I'm glad you did, and I'm glad I could finally do this video to show you all. So yeah, that was my first video for my natural beauty series, and there'll be many more, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Bye.